Una Marion Robinson was born on the 13th of December 1931. Here she is, a babe in her mother's arms with Father Baden Robinson on the left. Her mother was Margaret Agnes Quinn and father Redvers Baden Powell Robinson. I think in the front there is Joan, who's the oldest child. In 1931, the country was in a grip of a depression. She was number 5 child of a family of 6 kids. Her father had lost his job at this time, and she says she remembers that he would be working in the bush, as he had to go where the work was, often leaving the family at home to fend for themselves. The family would go off to live with their Auntie Zell and Uncle Doug Lowe. They lived on a farm with a big orchard. This meant that Una shared a room with her cousin Ivan. He was an only child and did not like sharing. They were never allowed to go in the lounge in case they broke something. During this time, the 2 oldest, Joan and Mona, went to Australia to stay with their grandmother, Elizabeth Grant. Una at this time attended school at Hamilton East Primary. Baden got a job with the Power Board in Hamilton, and they moved into an awful old house in Cook Street, and a lot of them slept in one big bed. They were there for about 1 year, then he was transferred to Kaikohe, so the whole family moved there. Baden was in charge of helping to set up the power line infrastructure for the area, and they were again to live in another Power Board house. This time a big new one in Station Road next to the Power Board truck and equipment sheds. Here are some pics of the kids in the family. Cute, eh? That first picture, Mum is being very coy in the front. And then the second picture, you see that Audrey has come along, so Mum isn't the youngest anymore. At age 9, they sent her to stay on the Donaldson's farm just out of Kaikohe. She was given a calf that she called Tiny to fatten up. About this time, Baden's work to establish a sports park in Kaikohe was recognised by the Borough Council, naming the park Robinson Park. And for unknown reasons, many years later, it was renamed to Hanjark Park. She left school in 1949 and took a job at the Kaikohe courthouse, working for the registrar of electors, purging the rolls in preparation for a referendum. In 1950, she moved to Auckland to take up at Epsom Teachers Training College. During this time, she lived at Taranaki House in Avondale, along with other out-of-town trainee teachers. They commuted to the campus by tram. If she found herself homesick, she would take the tram to stay at her Auntie Zell's place. After qualifying, she taught at Kaikohe Primary School for 6 months, and then Aranga School in Dargaville for a month, and then returned to Auckland for treatment for Bell's palsy. The picture on the left is of her hitchhiking with Pearl Cates, who had been at Teachers College with her and was now teaching at Mōrewa School. They hitched to Invercargill and back, setting out in pouring rain on December the 27th. There was a rail strike on in New Zealand that year, which helped them tremendously as there was plenty of mail trucks on the road. They were away for 3 weeks, meeting up with family and newly made friends to stay with on the way. The trip cost a total of £15. They took 1 party frock each so they could go to dances along the way. The picture on the left shows them hitching out of Rangiora after visiting with one of Pearl's family members. Little did she know that this was to be the place she would return to in the same decade to bring up her family. The whole family are in this one shot, taken around about 1950. Auntie Audrey will probably correct me on that. During the war, there were soldiers stationed at Kaikohe, and the girls would head up the hill to the barracks to visit them. At this time, the eldest daughter, Joan, met and married her husband. The first marriage for the Robinsons, and the first Robinson grandchild followed soon after that.
From 1950 to 1955, she taught at the New Lynn Primary School. During this time, she met Neil Alexander Harrison. They first met at a dance at the Anglican Church at Mount Albert. John Kim from the Teachers' College came to the hostel to ask the girls to the dance, which was Fancy Dress. She said they didn't know it was a country music dance, so when they arrived, she kicked off her shoes and tied up her shirt at her waist. She said they just clicked from the first meeting, and at the end of the dance, Pa washed her feet. Grandad George Croft had an old car that Pa was able to use and take the hostel girls for rides. When they were courting, they got busted being together in the lounge at Taranaki House by Miss Lovett, who was the hostel matron. Nana had to go and see the vice principal as this was breaking the rules. They mutually agreed to get engaged. Neil bought a £25 gold ring. They were married at St. Stephen's Church in Kaikohe on the 22nd of August, 1953.
They lived for a short while in Auckland at a family batch in Titirangi Bay while saving up for a trip. This lovely image is of Mum's passport, which is on the back of the service sheet. They both got themselves a passport for the first time and booked passage to England. In May of 1955, they set sail on the RMS Orion bound for England. There were many slides taken during this trip as they lived and worked in London for around 20 months, returning early 1957. These are a few shots from the trip over. The first image was a shipping company photo. They were all photographed on the deck. In this pic you can see Neil on the left and Una in the middle. They went on to travel with Jack and Margaret Fraser, who are also here. Other images are of social antics and Mum sunbathing. Here are a few shots from the continent. Mum lounging amongst felled trees in Norway and tulips in Holland. The third pic was taken at the border of East and West Berlin. At this point, Neil was cheeky in taking photos, and the border guards confiscated the film. This was only 10 years after the war, and the wall was not yet built. During their stay, they made 2 trips to the continent, travelling with friends they had met along the way. The Frasers were on the boat over, and they wanted to travel the same way as Mum and Dad. So the one small car was their transport, and they took it in turns to sleep in the car at night, one couple in and one couple out under the awning. All the girls in this picture. This was taken during the wedding of the first grandchild, Len Thompson. Len had married in November 1965. This was just 3 months after Una had given birth to me. Left to right are Audrey, Una, Mona, then Grandma Robinson, Margaret, Barbara and Joan.
All 3 of us children were born in the Rangiora Hospital. Mum and Dad first lived in a flat in Durham Street and then they built a house in King Street. During the early family years, Mum was a member of the Young Wives. She made many friends and then they finally moved to West Belt. She was on the Rangiora Kindergarten Establishment Group and was one of the first committee members for Ashgrove School. At this time, she had her sister Barbara close by, who was having her family. She was also a member of the North Canterbury Pottery Group, which established in 1968, and was the Rangiora Golf Club women's captain from 1978 to 79. This is a photo of the young family at home in West Belt. At this time, Dad had become an early enthusiast with the North Canterbury Ski Club and the Ski Touring Club. So the whole family were members and enjoyed skiing and holidays on and off the field. Mum didn't really like skiing, but was happy to send the family up the hill in the morning so she could have her own leisure time in the hut. Being part of a big family was always foremost in Mum's heart. When Nolene organised a family reunion in 2012, the whole lot of us went up to join in. Here are a few shots from that time, the whole Robinson crew and the Harrison contribution. Mum loved that she was a nana. Laura, then Baden, and then Olive all appeared in a matter of a few short years, from 1988 to 1993. My family lived in Australia, which meant they didn't get to spend as much time with Nana as she would have liked, as we moved from Portland to Singleton. The precious great-grandchildren are in the room today. Mum was able to travel and have special cuddles with baby Sean Alexander and Billy Una. We were also lucky enough to get a photo of the 4 generations of the girls together. This is one of the last photos of Mum and Dad taken together. Dad passed away in 2020 and Mum was plunged into grieving for him as well as the COVID lockdown. During this time she sought company from the members of the Bupa village by meeting regularly in her carport at a distance. This was really a saving grace for her. This last slide was taken recently when Mum was in care. She was enamoured of a carer named Nickel who took this photo. She still had the sparkle and smile we all know so well.